It's Paige Severe, your natural makeup specialist for women over 30, and today, if you are new to my account, we are going to be going over how to apply Seint's 3D foundation. This is going to be great for people who are just new to the line or just got their makeup or just need a refresher. So if you have any questions, just drop it in the comments below. Don't worry, I will save this for a replay if you can't catch the whole thing. This palette I'm going to be using is from their pre-made collections. This is collection 12, level 2. So this is what it comes with, this all-in-one magnetic palette. And then you get 3 highlights. Their highlights are foundation. I know that's really confusing for people. So you're going to get a color correcting highlight, which is for like dark spots, redness, just areas where you need a little bit more coverage, under eyes, etc. Then you're gonna have like a main foundation shade and then a brightener shade. People are always like, why do I need 3 highlights? They all serve different purposes. Same name, different purposes. And then you're going to get a bronzer shade just to add more warmth, to help even the skin tone. You're gonna get a contour. You're going to get an illuminator, which just adds a little extra glow to the skin. And then you're gonna get 3 lip and cheek options. You have like a matte shade, and then you get 2 gloss shades. And then it comes with 5 eyeshadows and 1 cream liner. So you get this entire set, like basically replaces your entire makeup bag, and it saves you $59. So it's a really good deal. And it also comes with these 2 brushes. So I'm gonna show you how to apply everything using this collection with these 2 brushes. And then I'm going to show you like my favorite extra brushes to add on, because you always need some smaller ones for more detailed work. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm gonna start with this brush. This is the blush and bronzer brush. And what I suggest doing, if you're someone who has an uneven skin tone, always start with a little bit of your bronzer first to just help even the skin tone. I don't need a whole lot, but when I do feel like I need a little bit more evening, I will just kind of tap that on. Or if you just want like a little extra glow underneath your makeup, this is a really good hack for that too. And then you can just kind of bring it down the neck. Raise of hands, how many of us have like been stuck with the dreaded orange jawline? That's why I love this line, because a lot of us have more pigmentation here across the center part of our face than we do on our jawline. Our jaw just tends to not see the sun as much as this part of our face does. So that's what's so cool about having multiple highlights. You can use a lighter highlight on the jaw and then a darker one for the center part of the face. So evening the skin tone with bronzer if you feel like you need it. And then we're gonna go in with contour first. With this line, the contour actually serves as secondary coverage. It's actually part of the foundation. It's why it's called 3D foundation, because our faces are 3-dimensional, so we're using each color strategically and 1 layer to create a beautifully dimensional look. Okay, so I'm starting with the detail brush. I'm using the large side. I love this brush for beginners because it's just nice and straight and it makes contouring really easy. So I always tell people, make sure you start back at the hairline, always start back, and you're going to come right underneath the cheekbone. And you can just kind of blend as you apply. I know you've probably seen like lots of different methods. You've probably seen me do it a lot of different ways. The beautiful thing is there's like no one perfect way. You just kind of learn your rhythm and figure out what you like. But you're just gonna kind of come right underneath the cheekbone and make sure you stop right before the center of your pupil. You also don't want to go too low. I see a lot of people contouring like by the corner of their mouth. That's just gonna draw your face down. And a quick little tip, people always ask, how do I contour for my face shape? All you need to know is if you have a wider face and you're trying to kind of slim it out, you're just gonna contour a little bit more in a vertical line. If you want to create more width in the center part of your face, if you have a really narrow face, then you're gonna contour a little bit more horizontally, almost like a little Nike swoosh or a check mark for your face. And then when it comes to the forehead, obviously everyone's forehead sizes are different. And so I always tell people, just imagine you have this triangle from this arch of your brow to this arch of your brow, and just leave that part blank. That's where we're gonna put foundation, and you can just contour around it. So regardless of the size of your forehead, just start back at the hairline. Again, just kind of blending as we go. push it up into the hairline. And I always tell people too, start with a very small amount and slowly build. I don't know what it is about switching to cream, but so many people overuse these products and then they're like, gosh, my makeup's so shiny, it's cakey, it's gross, it's whatever. And I'm like, because you used about a gallon too much of product for your face. So notice when I'm applying or tapping into the product, I'm not like pushing and swiping. I'm literally just doing these little tiny baby taps. Just think of Happy Gilmore, just tap it in. That's all you need. So you're just barely loading your brush with product. That's why these colors look so dark and scary in the tin, because they are so pigmented. So I know they look really small and you're like, 16 bucks for this little tiny tin, I'm gonna go through this in a week. No, like I've had my bronzer for over a year. So you really do get a lot of bang for your buck because of how pigmented everything is and just how little you really need, okay? Now, when it comes to the nose, what I like to do is I will take the sides of this brush and I will just slightly tap it, kind of load the sides, and you can use it like a stamp almost. So you're gonna come on the top of the bridge of your nose and you can just kind of tap your little line. Okay, this does take a little muscle memory. It's not gonna be perfect the first time, but that's why I love cream too, because it's like made for beginners. If you make a mistake, it's so easy to just clean it up and start over again. It's not the end of the world. It's not gonna set like a liquid and then you're like, oh crap, I gotta go through layers. So I just kind of do little lines on the side. I create a little V at the base of the nose, just highlighting the button part of my nose. And then you can even take the butt end of this brush and just sweep it in like this. And it will really just kind of help blend everything. And then once we go in with our highlight, we'll kind of clean up the sides of the nose. But that's how I suggest doing the nose. You can even take the small side of this brush and blend it out as well. Okay, nose contour done. Let's talk about the jawline. I usually don't contour the jawline, but if I have a client that has like sagging skin or jowls and they just want to create more definition, this is where contour can be your best friend. So again, taking the large side of the detail brush, going into my contour, what you would do is just like, let's say you had kind of a little jowl right here, you would just come right on the top of it and then feather it down. You don't want to go underneath it because that's just going to accentuate it. So all you're doing is just emphasizing where you want that shadow. And then when you apply your highlight, it will kind of clean everything up. Right now I have like a nice little pregnancy double chin going on. So I like to take it right here and then just blend it down. Oops, a little, see it? So easy. Went too high, just kind of wipe it off, go again, and then blend it down. And I promise, once you add your highlight and you get everything blended, it's not gonna look like a weird stripy line. So that's how we do contour. Okay, then your next step is, if you need it, if you need a color corrector, which I find that most of my clients over 30 do, that's why they love this line, is just being able to have all these options. You're going to take the small side of the detail brush. We're not going like super heavy-handed with the color corrector. This is where a lot of people get scared or where they make a mistake with their makeup, is they'll take their color corrector and they're like, it's way too orange. And I'm like, it's supposed to be darker, but you're only supposed to use a really tiny amount. So I'm going to tap into my color corrector shade with the small side of my detail. And I'm only going to apply it just where I need a little bit more coverage. So on some little acne spots or dark spots like melasma, if you have like some redness around the nose. Do you see just like how little of product I'm using? And I'm just barely tapping it on there. So it might look a little bit maybe more orange or darker than your skin tone, but that's what you want because we're going to then blend it with our main foundation shade. So don't freak out. Okay, so just kind of tapping, correcting. where I need it. Now, I know some of you have seen me use the Demi correctors, and then you're like, wait a second. What's the difference between a 3D corrector and a Demi corrector? So 3D is a foundation. It's going to give you more of like that makeup coverage look. The Demi is more sheer, and so I tell people use one or the other. Either use your 3D corrector first with your foundation, or you can like kind of do your full face of makeup, just skip where you need to correct, and then go back in at the end with your Demi. So that's how you could use one or the other. Someone asked, what would you recommend a starter makeup artist on a budget? So they actually have a starter palette that you can get. It's 4 colors and a brush for $107. It's like such a great way to dip your toes in with this makeup. So that's a good way to get going. Okay. And then I'm just gonna tap over here. And then we're going to move on to our main foundation shade. So for that, I'm going to go back to the blush and bronzer brush. I will admit this is not my most favorite brush for applying foundation just because I have a smaller face. One of my favorites is the buff brush for full coverage. So if you wanted to add another brush, this is a great one. But we can certainly make it work with these 2 brushes. So I'll show you how I do it. I take the small side of this, tap into my main, and then I just kind of tap and stipple across the center part of my face. And we're just kind of going over where we corrected. So now it's not going to be like orangey, it's just going to kind of neutralize itself really nicely. And then I like to use my lightest highlight shade. I actually like to use this on my jawline because I do have a much lighter jaw than pigment in the center of my face. Just kind of coming right underneath. You can also use this side of the detail brush for your highlight, and people are like, wait, isn't that gonna mix the colors? By the time you've used all of your contour on your face, it's pretty much off the brush. Like, it doesn't stay like a liquid. So I have no problem kind of mixing and going in between my colors. Okay, and then I would use the small side of the detail brush for my brightening shade around my eyes. So for this, again, small amount, and I'm only applying it to the inner and outer corners of the eyes, and then I just kind of bring it down the nose. I have these nice little hollow lines underneath my eyes, so I don't like to bring it right here. And I would recommend the same thing for anyone that has crepey skin or like just really dark circles. You don't want to bring your lightest shade right there because all it's going to do is accentuate it. So we're just gonna pop this here. And then you can even kind of bring it down the center of the nose on the Cupid's bow. Just like that. Okay, so we've got our contour on and our foundation. At this point, you can go in with your blush. So I'm gonna go back in with the small side. Yes, I've used it for foundation, but again, like, it's not gonna matter if you tap it into your blush. So what I like to do is I like to do a matte further up on the cheeks. So my matte blush shade goes here. Someone asked, what do you suggest for under eye bags? I have a whole video tutorial, and I'll have to do a live on it as well, but I can show you what I do at the end for bags or hollow lines. Okay, so we've got our matte up there, and then I like to do the gloss shades. You guys, look at this color. It looks black in the tin, but I'm telling you, it is the most versatile, beautiful color. It's called Black Cherry. Isn't it so pretty? It's the prettiest berry sheen. So I love this one on the center of the cheeks. Tap into that. You just need the tiniest amount. Just adds a little glow right here on the cheeks. Okay, and then we have our Angel Illuminator. This is just a very sheer Illuminator. And it has almost a little pinky undertone to it. So it's not supposed to be super like poppy or in your face. If you want like a really loud illuminator, then I would tell you to get a powder. But I personally prefer the creams. I just think they look a little bit more natural, a little bit more subtle. And so you're just gonna put that right on top of the apples of the cheeks, center of the nose, and you can do it kind of on your Cupid's bow. It's really pretty over like your lips too. So now for the lips, what I like to do is I like to kind of contour around my lips, and you can use all sorts of brushes. We actually have a lip brush called the multitasker brush. This is what it looks like. So you can use this one. I'm going to show you how to do it with the eyeshadow brush because this set does come with eyeshadow, so I think it's beneficial to get the eyeshadow brush with this set. So I'm just gonna tap into my contour shade with the small side of my eyeshadow brush. And I just kind of go around my natural lip line. And I know it looks kind of scary because it's brownish, but don't worry. All you're doing is just creating a nice shadow to create the appearance of a fuller lip. And then I will go into my lip shade. So I'm gonna take that same matte color first. This is Nude. And I just kind of follow where I did that contour around the outside. You can use a lip brush for this. The multitasker would be good, or your finger. And then I like to mix these two shades. So I'll take my Black Cherry, kind of put that in the center. And then Cindy, which is this really bright, fun pink. And I pop that right over the top. Isn't that the prettiest like combo? You just get this beautiful kind of natural mauve looking lip. And it looks like really dimensional too, which I love. Okay, so I'm gonna be a little particular here. But I really want to get rid of these lines right here. They're just kind of driving me crazy, and I swear they get more pronounced as I get more into my pregnancy. My face is just so swollen right now, you guys. But what I like to do is I like to take a little bit of my bronzer shade, and I will actually add, I typically do this instead of the concealer. This is my go-to under eye method. I will add bronzer in the lighter pockets around the bag line or the hollow line. So if you have a bag, you're gonna do the same thing. The bag is usually light, and that's what makes it look puffy. So I'm just kind of filling in. Again, I'm using the spot brush for this. This is my go-to brush for under eyes. Like, it is a must, and it's also what I love for correcting acne with too, or just any little small spot. So adding a little bit of this bronzer, just right here, next to the line. And then we're going to take the small side of the spot brush and we're gonna go into a color called 03. This is what 03 looks like. And I just add the tiniest bit of 03 right in the dark area of that shadow. I always tell people, like, you can't erase bone structure with makeup. Like, there's no such thing as that, but you can minimize the illusion, which is really cool. And then I just tap away the excess. And it's kind of helpful if you can do it in front of a window, like I'm sitting in front of a window right now. You can kind of move your head around and see where those shadows are. Doesn't that look so much better? Like, it just made such a difference. Just those two little colors. I love it. Okay, now this little set does come with like a darker eyeshadow color. So if you're a brunette, you could most likely use, this is Trust. You could most likely use Trust to fill in your brows. But I prefer a contour shade. So I'm gonna take the line brush and I'm gonna use this Kola contour shade here to fill in my brows. And I just kind of do these little tiny brow strokes. And fill them in. So that's what's really cool. A lot of times people's actual contour color can also be their brow color. Like if you're a blonde, I find that a lot of the contour shades work really well with blondes. But I have pretty dark hair, so this is a contour shade, but it's not my contour shade. It's a little too dark. Okay, so brows have filled in. And now I'm just gonna show you what I would do with the eyeshadows for just like a quick kind of everyday look. So I mean, I honestly love all of these colors. They're just such good like neutral staple shades. So we're gonna go back to the eyeshadow brush. This is what I use to contour around my lips. And I'm going to take, we're gonna take this shade. This is Basic. It's one of my favorite browns. It's just like a great neutrally brown. And I'm just going to sweep Basic all in my crease like this. Like honestly, you could just use that and call it a day. It's so pretty on its own. It's just a great neutral everyday shade. Same thing on this side. I'm gonna flip to the bottom part of the brush and just kind of sweep Basic along my lower lash line. And then to deepen it up, I'm going to use Trust. Again, one of my favorite browns. I'm gonna put this on the outer corner. I also have been just loving it on the inner corner. I don't know why. I call this a halo eye, or they call this. And I just kind of do these little circular motions and kind of sweep these colors together. So this is how you could take one just neutral everyday eyeshadow and then just like fancy it up really easily. Just take a darker shade, tap that on, a little bit in the corner here. Sorry, I need my mirror. It's really hard to do eyeshadow in your phone sometimes. And then just blend it together. As far as an eyeshadow primer, I typically do use an eyeshadow primer for most of my looks. I prefer the Urban Decay eyeshadow primer. It just works really well. I love how long it lasts. You could use your foundation and setting powder, just any old primer that you like. And then I'll just take a little bit of that Trust left over on the brush and just sweep it along the lower lash line. And people always ask me about liner. On average, I typically just use my eyeshadow as a liner instead of an actual liner. I just prefer that look. And maybe it's because I wear lashes and I've just never loved like the look of a heavy liner on the top of my lid. So I prefer this. And then if you wanted to like jazz it up a little bit, you could add a little bit of the pink right there. Or this Bright Eyes. Oh, you guys, Bright Eyes is beautiful. Let me just swatch it for you. It is the prettiest gold shade, but like such a good neutrally gold. This is gonna look good on like any eye color. That's why I love this combo. And I just like to use my fingers when I'm working with shimmers because it just warms up on the skin and gives you a little bit more punch. So you can do that, and then I also like to take a little bit, kind of put it on the waterline, and it just kind of pops my eyes a little bit. Okay, we're kind of slowly building up the eye. This is a little bit more of a, you know, bolder eye look, but I love it because it's still so simple too. I mean, it's just those 3 colors. And then if you wanted to use the liner, I love the etch brush. This makes doing a line or a wing so easy. Okay, so this is a cream liner and it's just so easy to work with. So I'm gonna use this side of the etch brush and I'll show you how I do my wing. I am not like an eyeliner pro by any means, but I have learned if you just take this brush and you come right up at the edge of your lash and you just kind of go like that. And now look, the easiest wing you'll ever do. Yeah, this is not a super bright shimmer. It's a really subtle shimmer. And for those of you who are just hopping on, this is the Collection 12 palette from Seint. You can get color matched in my bio or just go to colormatch.pagesevere.com. I'm gonna do the same thing on this side. Hold on, I need my mirror. Again, just from the corner of the lash line and just barely flicking it up. And then you can connect it. Hold on, I want to come out just a little bit more. You can kind of bring it in and connect it this way from that little wing you created. And I'll even take this edge if it gets a little thick and just kind of clean it up. That's what's nice about a cream. Again, it's super easy to work with, and then you can just set it with an eyeshadow over the top if you want to. Okay, and then I also like to use this same liner and I'll just come right on the inside of the eye if I'm creating more of like that almondy eye look. And then if you wanted even more definition, if you have hooded eyes, just come and line underneath your lashes. I've got these DIY lashes on, so they already give me enough definition on my eyes that I don't feel like I need liner there. And then if I wanted to even deepen up here, I would just add a little bit of this leftover cream liner and then just kind of smudge it out. And now you've got like this full on really pretty night look. So you can use the same palette to go from like a super simple, natural, everyday look to like a full on ready for nighttime look. Okay, so everything we used, basically all right here, except for the little Demi shade that I used, that 03. So that's what's so nice about this is, like I said, you're basically replacing your entire makeup palette. And at this point, you can set everything with setting spray and or setting powder. So if you want more of like a matte look, or you're just naturally more oily, or you don't love the shine, just set everything with setting spray and then go back in, and you can use the small side of your blush and bronzer brush and press in setting powder. Seint does carry a pressed setting powder, so you can use that or your favorite setting powder, whatever. So I just set everything with this and I get beautiful all day wear with it. It looks like skin, like there's no creasing, none of that stuff. It's just beautiful and simple. And I'm gonna put some more notes on the slide video, like just more tips and tricks as you're starting out, like troubleshooting, like skincare, all that kind of stuff, because I know I always get questions about that. But if you guys have any questions, feel free to send me a DM, and you can go to colormatch.pagesevere.com to get your own little custom makeup routine. Okay, thanks for watching. We'll see you. Bye.